Since its inception, the sport of anti-gravity racing has had a long and tumultuous history, incorporating controversy, industrial rivalries, and even criminal investigations. It also quickly became the world's most beloved sport, spawned powerhouses of technological advancement, as well as contributing to a lasting world peace. For almost 200 years, AG racing was not merely a sport fawned over by die-hard fanatics, but a significant expression of human culture, and a technological leap that finally pushed the world into the future.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my rack.
Having been fascinated by gravitational physics from a young age, Pierre Belmondo, future pioneer of anti-gravity mechanics, would become disillusioned with his present studies and drops out of university in 2021, choosing to follow his first love by joining the Foundation for European Anti-Gravity Research. Although being considered an average student during his school years, Belmondo would prove himself again and again in his chosen field, so much in fact that he would be appointed director of the foundation a mere 3 years later, at the young age of just 21. However, whether this was actually due to his own merit or a ploy by the company is up for discussion, given that only a few months later, the World Technology Symposium ends the World Anti-Gravity Research Congress, the parent organisation of Belmondo's foundation, effectively putting a halt to all anti-gravity research across the globe. However, despite his relative inexperience, Pierre was not about to have his dreams crushed by bureaucrats and continues his research regardless, fighting tooth and nail for the next 10 years to keep the project funded, until finally on the 14th of April 2035, Belmondo himself successfully pilots the prototype craft NX-1000 over the Nevada desert. After all of his struggle, the dream of anti-gravity travel could now be a reality. Over the next few years, new companies would race to take commercial advantage of the groundbreaking technology, including Belmondo himself, establishing AG Systems as a commercial subsidiary of the Foundation for European Anti-Gravity Research, with Belmondo himself at its helm. Unfortunately, he was an engineer at heart, and not cut out for the work of a CEO, and a mere 2 years later Belmondo is forced to sell his company to a Japanese consortium, allowing one of the first startup AG companies, Federal European Industrial Science and Research, FESA, to become Europe's leading name in anti-gravity technology. Not to be forced out of the loop, Pierre spent the next 2 years considering how to revolutionize his own AG technology, with other companies already cornering the markets of mass travel and personal transit. In 2044, Belmondo seized his chance when a pair of Brazilian companies merged to found the Anti-Gravity Foundation, who began looking for innovative new uses for the technology. While watching outmoded F1 racing, Pierre is hit with an idea that he cannot believe that anybody has not capitalized on already: the idea of AG racing. Pitching the idea to the AG Federation's parent company, Piranha, the executives are stunned by the idea, and fearing the risk of the idea leaking, the Anti-Gravity Race Commission, subsidiary of Piranha Corps, is set up within the year, with prominent celebrity Dirk Breakwater as its chief executive, in an attempt to capture mass market appeal. Over the next few years, companies would rush to construct AG race vehicles, ready for the championship's first season. The rapid change in direction causes dissent in many corporations, including Belmondo's original company, AG Systems, where a feud between top-level employees leads to their dismissal and eventual founding of 2 more parties fixed on the upcoming championships. Finally, in 2048, just over a decade since the first AG flight, the inaugural AG Racing Championships commence in Nova State City, hosting teams from the 3 big names in AG developments, FESA, AG Systems, and Piranha, as well as the 2 newcomers, Aircom and Quirex. Anti-gravity racing was nothing like the public had ever seen. It was fast, brutal, and most importantly, entertaining. It was not only the first form of racing to regularly exceed 400 km an hour, but also the first to actively incorporate weapons into the mix to slow and damage opponent craft. Truly, this was a next-generation sport, but not everyone agreed with its cavalier nature, including Pierre Belmondo himself. Due to the fact there were not yet any custom-built AG racing tracks, courses were created using city streets and pre-existing infrastructure, like many classic racing events had of the past. However, due to the nature of the sport, the hosting city experienced significant damage to buildings and roadways. As a result, the F3600 League is created in 2050, standardizing all aspects of the sport with custom-built tracks, and commences in 2052. Unfortunately, the producers of the sport, Piranha, are bought out and entirely pull out of AG Racing, allowing the sport to go on as its own entity. Other than this, the league goes on smoothly enough until 2056, when it experiences its first race-related fatality, in the form of AG Systems pilot Daniel Chang. In light of this, the league is suspended pending safety investigations, and isn't started up again for 2 more years. For the next 12 years after its return though, the league would only grow in popularity and become the primary focus of many corporations, including a rebranded Piranha, now named Piranha Advancements, who were forced back into the race from fear of being outcompeted by their rivals, something that was much more serious than it had ever been due to the domination of independent corporations over entire governments. To lose a season of a race could mean disaster for a nation. The league was met with more tragedy in 2062, when Dirk Breakwater died, and replaced with AG pioneer Chuck Hoffman as executive director. Hoffman in return was killed at the opening of the 2080 season, causing the entire season to be cancelled. Investigations into what was concluded to be an assassination were not forthcoming. Word of mouth, however, speculated that the Overtel Corporation, known to be ripe with corruption and parent company of Quirex at the time, had commissioned the assassination to gain control of the AG Racing Commission in order to completely commercialize it for their own ends. Fortunately, Pierre Belmondo himself is announced as executive director and expels anyone found to have any connection with Hoffman's death. Now, as one of his first acts in the new position, Belmondo announces that after almost 30 years of the F3600 League, AG Racing is evolving, and announces the F5000 League, with vastly upgraded ship specifications, track complexity, and weapons that are now capable of destroying opposing craft. Opening in 2085, the F5000 League, despite its arguably more dangerous nature, continued relatively smoothly for another 30 years, and could be considered to be the golden age of AG Racing. Several new contenders entered the league in the form of new companies, Goteki 45, Icarus, and Asagi Developments. It is during this league that Pierre Belmondo resigns as executive director, turning his attention to preserve the purity of AG Racing and the sensible use of anti-gravity through the formation of the Belmondo Foundation. Again, the sport was rejuvenated in 2116 with the start of a new F7200 league, hosted in a single mega-city, unlike its 2 immediate predecessors, and again the league proceeded smoothly under the watchful eye of the Belmondo Foundation. However, in 2127, at the impressive age of 123, Pierre Belmondo passed away, mere hours after seeing the birth of his great-great-granddaughter Natasha. In honour of the father of AG technology, AG Racing League races were held on classic tracks from the F3600 and the F5000 leagues. However, with his passing, the Overtel Corporation made its move almost immediately, and by 2132 had gained complete control over the AG Racing Commission, and in doing so began the darkest era of the Anti-Gravity Racing League.